When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
A few moments later.
At the debate the other night, you talked about creating an opportunity economy. What are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid.
Kamala Harris blows her first solo interview, and this has to be the easiest interview that a presidential candidate could go through. And we are going to discuss the three major issues around her as a candidate. Is she going to separate herself from Joe Biden? What is she truly going to do for the economy? And who is Kamala Harris? Now, I'm going to give you a fair warning. She did not answer any of these questions, but what she did say, and you're going to want to watch all the way through, it was eye-opening.
You talked at the debate and at previous appearances about turning the page on the past. And in fact, here today in Johnstown, you're talking about a new way forward. Yeah. I think some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden. And so I wonder if there are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, you know, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work. And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life, because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids. And so my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years.
Okay, so I'm going to be writing notes throughout this video because it's tough watching this and trying to understand what she means and let alone what she's actually saying. But opportunity economy, it sounds like a great word, like what? Build back better. But what does it exactly mean? I don't know what an opportunity economy means, because it's not like people don't have opportunities technically. The problem is things cost too much money. So why wouldn't she come out and call it a affordable economy, not an opportunity economy? Maybe that's just a marketing thing in me. I think that Democrats historically have been great at marketing. I actually believe when it comes to the opportunity economy term she keeps throwing around, I think they actually missed out on that. But that's just my personal opinion. Of course, child tax credit that already exists. So probably what she should be saying is, hey, I want to double the child tax credit. I want to take it from where it is now, $2,500, and I want to increase it to $6,000. Boom. You know, that's very clear in someone's mind. Okay, so we're going from here and you're going to take us to there, right? That's just some feedback, of course. And then 10, 20 years out, yeah, that doesn't really land. And again, guys, as we go throughout this video, I think it is absolutely fair to call her an empty suit. She is there physically, but intellectually, you know, she's not there. It's weird. And before I play this clip, answer this question in the comments section. If you were in her shoes, how would you separate yourself from Joe Biden? Let me know below.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, you know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, you know? And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. You know, we have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business. My mother, you know, worked long hours, and our neighbor helped raise us. We used to call her, I still call her, our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small business owners. I learned who they are from my childhood, and she was a community leader. She hired locally. She mentored. Our small businesses are so much a part of the fabric of our communities, not to mention, really, I think, the backbone of America's economy. So my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. But investing in people's innovative ideas and giving them the ability to go for it.
I'm going to tell you, this is straight up a bunch of bull. Sounds great, right? Sounds interesting. But this is how good the Democratic Party has been with their messaging. They make it sound so good, but it's empty in the end. Let me give you an example. Key words: $50,000 tax deduction, not $50,000 grant, not $50,000 startup loan, $50,000 tax deduction. With or without that tax deduction, when you start a business, especially for the first 3 years, you're going to be able to write off so much money you won't owe money in the end, because the IRS knows when you start a business, you lose money in the first year or two. They're not expecting businesses to turn a profit immediately. Now, I'm not a tax accountant, but that has always been my experience. I filed taxes as a business before. I've seen it with my own life and other people that I know. So that is an empty statement. The whole comment about, I know people who were proud of their lawn, I don't know where she was going with that. And this touches on my feedback that I had for her going into the debate. I truly believe the number one thing she needs to do as a candidate is keep it simple, short, and concise. Don't try to elaborate on anything, because when you try to elaborate, she goes into word salads. She goes in circles, right? And politicians are trained, okay, to not answer questions, right? However, her problem is, it's not that she won't even answer questions. Is that when she refuses to answer the question, she doesn't make any sense. Usually they make some type of sense, right? And that's why I say it would be better if she just skipped that whole story. I am in a middle class family and all this other stuff, and just say, hey, my opportunity economy is this. It comes with a $50,000 tax deduction. We are also going to create a grant program. The government's going to put in $1 billion. Entrepreneurs can apply for it. We're also going to do tax incentives if you hire a certain amount of people within a certain amount of time. That right there sounds very clear. She doesn't have that. Now let's compare it to Trump, because let's use the same standard for Trump. He's very clear. I don't want to tax Social Security. I don't want to put a tax on overtime. I don't want to put a tax on tips. That sounds very clear to me. Saying $50,000 tax deduction, that's not actually putting money back in an entrepreneur's pocket day one of starting their business. That's at least 1 year out. Now, she's already embarrassed herself enough when it comes to the policy, and she's one of the most liberal, if not most progressive, Democrats running for office in history. So why don't we find out who she really is then? Maybe we might learn something. Watch.
And finally, as you introduce yourself to America in a new way, they've heard much of your story at the Democratic National Convention and in that debate earlier this week. If there's one thing that you wish Americans knew about who Kamala Harris is, that you don't think they know yet, what would that be?
I don't know. I mean, probably it's not very different from anybody watching right now. I love my family. One of my favorite things that I lately have not been able to do is Sunday family dinner. I love to cook. I have incredible friends. My best friend from kindergarten is still my best friend. I think that, I mean, I have a career that really, and I said it the other day, you know, as a career prosecutor, I never asked a victim of crime, were they a Republican or a Democrat. The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay? And I think that's the approach that most Americans want. I think that, I mean, I have a career that really, and I said it the other day, you know, as a career prosecutor, I never asked a victim of crime, were they a Republican or a Democrat. The only thing I ever asked them is, are you okay? And I think that's the approach that most Americans want, regardless of who they voted for in the last election, in terms of turning the page and charting the way forward.
I imagine you're looking forward to cooking Sunday dinner again.
I am looking forward. Yes, I am looking forward to cooking. With the whole family gets involved, the kids each have their role. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful family, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you, Brian.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Okay, guys, before I give you my observations, let's start off with the first one. Just look at this. Do you see her face? That's frightening, okay? She looks like she's about to piss her freaking pants. Like she was about to go to prison for the rest of her life. Look at that face. That's, I mean, it's not against her as a human being. I don't wish anybody to have this high level of anxiety over such an easy interview. Because obviously there was zero follow-ups. It was just ask a question and then let her answer, then move on to the next one, right? But let me go to the beginning. In case you don't believe me, look at the beginning. She looked the same way. Look at this. Look at this.
All good? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Good.
Yeah, she looks nervous. So what does this mean for me, right? And why I wanted to make that my first observation. So how does she look when she's talking or potentially going to talk to or negotiate with Vladimir Putin? How would she look when she has to have these tough conversations with, I don't know, maybe the Taliban? I mean, I want to know how she will perform if she does become the next president of the United States. I think that is a legitimate concern. So if she has such a tough time doing such a soft, I mean, this is easier than CNN, by the way. Okay. This is on a local news channel. I don't know why she looks like that. I mean, maybe you know. Why don't you tell me what you think in the comment section? Why does she look like this? Do you think she suffers from severe anxiety? I'd love to know your guys' opinion. So I have a few observations and final points for you after looking at this interview. Number one, it's very short and simple. It's tough watching this because I know she's not telling us who she really is. I know she's not being any level of honest with her answers. They're all scripted. You know, that's the one thing that people love about Trump is, and sometimes it could get him in trouble, is, you know, what's coming out of his mouth is what he thinks, right? Number two, which may be a downfall for her, especially if this interview and all the other interviews after this, she keeps repeating the same thing, her refusal to separate from Joe Biden. She absolutely refuses. And I think that's going to be a downfall for her because it's a message that is contradicting, right? It's not landing. You can't say, hey, turn the page, and then on the same breath say, yeah, Joe Biden's great. The third one is we still don't know who she is after watching this interview. And what I mean by that is, who truly is Kamala Harris? Stop giving me the career politician. Tell me something more than the cliche about you were raised by your mother and, you know, and all this other stuff. Like, What story do you truly have that sounds genuine or authentic? She's not an authentic candidate. That is another downfall to her campaign, is for some reason she has an inability to come across authentic. So that is my mindset. What about you guys? What's your guys' opinion about this interview? What grade would you give her when it comes to this interview? What do you think about her inability to truly answer the questions like a talented politician would? So just let me know what your answers are in the comment section below. If you love this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.